I've been trying to work with Daniel Defense for years, but I could never get anything in for review. And after years of trying, I vented about it and said some mean stuff online. Well, they heard about it. Anyway, I think we have an understanding now. At least that's what the restraining order says. Fortunately, I was able to reach out to my buddies at Brownells and get the brand new Daniel Defense Daniel H9. Once I got the gun, I switched gears because I review gun stuff. I have to put my feelings about companies on the back burner all the time. I try to always provide you unbiased reviews and try to give you all the info so you can make your own choices. Now, keeping that in mind, let's get started with the H9. For those that don't know, in 2017, the H9 was the sole release of a company called Hudson Manufacturing. They hit the industry hard with a sexy marketing campaign and a ton of buzz.
This year, we're out with the Hudson H9.
The gun was marketed as a mix between a Glock and a 1911, you know, the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, they never got it right and ultimately went bankrupt in 2019. After all that, Daniel Defense bought their patents and remaining inventory, and that was the last we heard. Fast forward several years later, and I heard that Daniel Defense was about to release the renewed version of the H9. I was freaking stoked!
And you know what? I'm getting more stoked.
The Daniel Defense Daniel H9 is a Daniel Striker, Daniel Fire, Daniel Handgun. Sorry, got caught in a Daniel loop.
Yeah, they said it's next gen, revolutionizing the game, but the Daniel Defense hype didn't live up to the fame. Promises and features that just didn't stand tall. When you're out there shooting, you want some to rely on after all. Second time is not the charm.
The H9 is an interesting size. It's somewhere between compact and full size and looks like they're marketing it as a concealed carry handgun. Bigger than I carry, but to each their own. I also want to mention that it uses a cassette style serialized insert, so they can likely add more frame sizes in the future. The whole concept was to mix a 1911 with a striker fired handgun, meaning a straight pull trigger and a grip angle made for winners. That means stock Glock people, okay sweetie? It has an aluminum frame, and I am partial to metal guns, but that comes with some challenges that they met head on with really aggressive machine cuts in the front strap and the back strap. The grips are a material called G10, and I promise you've seen it everywhere. G10 can be very aggressive. In fact, this is a G10 knife. Get in there with the H9. But for some reason, Daniel Defense opted to soften the cuts and the grips are nowhere near grippy enough. Maybe this is because they're marketing it as a carry gun and super aggressive grips can wreck skin and t-shirts while concealed carrying. But I don't know. I'd like the grip panels more, well, you know, grippy. I like the size of the grip and it fits my hand like a gordita, and a capacity of 15 in a pretty thin gun is nice. The frame has no texture besides what I've mentioned, which gives it a really clean look. I have always loved the aesthetics of the H9. It's an attractive handgun. In the era of Glock clones, it stands out with a cool, unique appearance. The slide features mid-aggressive cuts at the front and rear, and while they could be slightly more aggressive, aka deeper, my hands and fingies seem to catch them just fine. Weighing in at 29 ounces unload, the H9 is heavier than a Glock 19 at 21 ounces, a Glock 17 at 22 ounces, a SIG P365 at 17.8 ounces, but lighter than the original full-size H9 at 35 ounces. Although the weight doesn't bother me as I've carried bigger, more idiotic things, for the casual carrier, it's like carrying 2 XXL grilled stuffed burritos in your holster. I like to use concepts we can all relate to. The original Hudson moved the recoil system down to lower the bore axis in an attempt to reduce felt recoil. Lowering the bore axis should, in theory, do just that. Daniel Defense heavily emphasized this feature in their marketing, and oddly, almost every reviewer echoed the exact same talking points without any research. The plain and simple fact is that it's not that much different from every other handgun. Don't believe the hype. Most of the benefits of the original Hudson were removed from the Daniel H9. The gun comes with 3 15-round magazines, which I think is great. 3 magazines should be the minimum the guns come with. Fight me. Please don't fight me. The slightly ramped magwell makes loading smooth and reloads feel nice. You can buy extra magazines from their website for $25 each, which is awesome. Huge props for all of that. The curved trigger is interesting as the trigger safety blade hinges from the bottom instead of the top. Once it's depressed, the trigger is a straight pull like a 1911. My trigger averaged a 7-pound 10-ounce pull, and it's incredibly spongy before it breaks. It has a clean break, but a very light reset. I can't shoot this gun as fast as I can other guns, and I got a blister on the bottom of my finger during during one of the filming days. Normally, I think people obsess over trigger pull too much. However, I hate this trigger. It feels like they took a Glock trigger and they made it worse. The sights are decent and have a yellow fiber optic front sight and a blacked out U-cut rear sight with an anti-glare texture. These sights are replaceable with any SIG P-Series sights, which is a good thing. One item to note is that the front fiber optic is mostly uncovered, making it more prone to damage. While it's a trade-off for better light transmission, it feels delicate as a soggy taco for a carry gun. Takedown is simple and a huge improvement on the previous version.
Sometimes they say huge.
The pistol ship's RDS compatible.
Boo, lies. Lies.
Whoa, calm down, okay, I'll explain. The pistol ships with a coupon to order a steel plate to fit the red dot that you have. I opened the box, found the coupon, went to their website, ordered the free plate for an RMR cut dot, and it took 6 weeks to get here. That's outrageous. Companies need to stop this shit. It's completely unacceptable. Like, who over there thought, hey, you know, this is a good idea? I'll be honest, a 1 week wait is too long, but I'm absolutely gonna shit on every company that tries to pull this nonsense. Now, Walter, I'm looking in your direction, not right at you, but in your direction. Once I got the red dot mounted 6 weeks later, the plate seems fine. Sits pretty high, but that's similar to other plate systems. They have plates for RMR, Dr. Cut, Seymour, and the Shield RMSC red dots. I threw a Swamp Fox Optics Liberty 2 red dot on mine. The gun was fine for defensive accuracy, which is what I test on pistols, and I didn't experience any of the keyholing that I've read about. However, a quick search will show a bunch of other people taco about it. So many that Daniel Defense has announced a barrel upgrade program at some point, possibly, perhaps, details pending. Visually, the build quality is decent and well machined. However, I have some nitpicks. The slide wobbles and rattles like dropping your nachos, and the beaver tail makes noise every time I grip the gun. Instead of using the captive recoil assembly in front of the trigger guard like the Hudson version that they chose to drop the bore axis, Daniel Defense chose a small tab off the guide rod to rest against the barrel lug to push the recoil spring. This tab looks very underwhelming, and I haven't seen anyone having problems with it, but the entire weight of recoil rests on this very thin, small piece of metal. I'm calling it now, this is a failure point. The original Hudson has a massive flange on the front of the slide to drop the recoil system down. The reason that flange is so Big Beef Burrito Supreme is because prototypes bent after repeated use. They kept that design element on the Daniel H9, but I don't know if they understood the engineering behind it. The guide rod will experience the same fatigue and ultimately fail. Let's talk accessories. The original H9 didn't have a full pick rail, and because of the recoil system, lights were positioned ridiculously low, and they were nearly impossible to activate while using a normal shooting grip. Recognizing this issue, Daniel Defense decreased the size of the dust cover and added a Stanag 4694 rail, which is just the NATO version that's backwards compatible with 1913 pick rails. Lights still ride low, but they're much more usable, and that is a significant improvement over its predecessor. Nice. I've been running a TLR VIR2 light on this one. Several places make holsters for them, but they haven't pushed deep into the accessory markets yet. Okay, let's talk about running the gun. So it started out great, and I was very happy during the first couple range trips. Then the problem started, so I took it to the range with my buddy, Country Boy Guns from YouTube, to compare it to his original Hudson H9. He runs a thumb-high grip on the slide, and the Daniel H9 immediately started having issues with it going into battery. I was able to recreate it easily by just slightly moving my thumbs up. We tested a similar grip on several other handguns we had at the range, including the original H9, and it didn't create problems with any of them. From that point on, every range trip was met with just malfunction after malfunction after malfunction. Ammunition didn't matter. It became a game to hand the gun to people to shoot and just watch it fail to go into battery every single time. Maybe the gun likes to run wet, I don't know. But imagine needing to rely on your gun for self-defense and finding out that it's not going to work. A carry gun should run reliably. Imagine having to use your gun for self-defense and having to say, yo, wait, I need just to oil this bad Larry real quick, but in a minute, you finna get it. I massively prefer to shoot the Hudson H9. It's a full-size steel frame pistol and a bit bigger than the Daniel H9, but it just feels more solid overall. And I can shoot it much faster. Hudson's gun was terribly flawed, but it was a really cool idea that they could just never get right. Daniel Defense claims that they had to redesign everything except for one part, and I do believe that. I cut the review short. Initially, I had 2 range trips where it ran well, but then 4 more would just barely even function. It constantly failed to go into battery. Occasionally, the trigger would die for some unknown reason. And regardless of which magazine we used or how we gripped it, it's just not running reliably. So I called it. I'm done with it. I put just under 500 rounds of different types through it, having to tap it into battery constantly. Light cleaning didn't help, and I will likely send it in under their warranty. They do have a good warranty, and I'm hopeful that it's faster than ordering the optics plate, because damn. So now let's Break it down. The cons. This is the most unreliable gun that I've tested in recent memory, and I do a thing when I have problems where I let a bunch of my buddies shoot it and see if it's just me. Nope. Failed in the same ways for all of them. The optics plate process is completely asinine. I'm shocked that a company the size of Daniel Defense thought that this was somehow okay. It's not. High Point has a better system in place. They send multiple mounting options with their yeet cannon, and you know what? It's true. High Point has a better mounting system. I mean, you've heard the rest of the video, and unfortunately, a lot of it fits into the cons section, so I'm not going to rehash it again. The pros. 3 mags and 15 round capacity is great. Extra mags for $25 each, even better. That's how it's done. It uses common SIG sights, which is excellent. No need to reinvent the wheel. Daniel Defense has been a rifle company. They are branching into something new here. It took years for the Hudson to fail and blow through the $15 million that they had. Now, while Daniel Defense has had some awful missteps on their first pistol, they were basically creating something brand new here. They couldn't stand on the work that Hudson did because overall it sucked. They had to start over. Bringing a new pistol to market is incredibly difficult, and there is real room to grow here. And although I don't care much for Daniel Defense, I really want the H9 story to continue. I look forward to seeing wherever they go. I always try to be upbeat in my videos, and I try to make the world a little bit of a happier place. Now, I'm sorry that this review was a bit of a bummer, but maybe check out some of my other reviews to get your happy back. Oh God, I almost passed out.